Peace. This is Empress Sage Ma'at, also known as Mahogany Homeschooler, and we are going to be discussing homeschooling outside of the box, part 2. And we will be talking about the homeschool environment and getting started on your homeschooling journey. Now, one of the things that I did when I first started out my homeschooling journey was mimic the public school setting in my home. I felt that this was the only conducive way that a child was able to learn, not even consciously thinking about how I felt when I was in school and how bored I was. But because I was raised in that system, that was all I knew at the time. So I took hold of that and tried to implement that in my homeschooling. It didn't work. At that time, I was only homeschooling my eldest. She was frustrated, I was frustrated, and I really had to sit back and meditate on what I was doing wrong. And it was more of, okay, her sitting here for this long period of time, as young as she was, is not working for her and it's not working for me. And no matter what grade your child is in at the time, you really have to sit back and deprogram yourself from the public school setting. Your homeschool is nothing like the public school. That's the exact reason why you pull them from the system or you never put them in the system, is because of the setup. Um, your home is a relaxed environment. Allow your homeschool, which is incorporated in your everyday life, to be relaxed. My children, they can sit on the floor, they can sit on the couch if they so choose and read a book. If they want to do whatever paperwork, whatever bookwork they have to do, if they want to do it at the table, that's fine. If they want to disperse throughout, that's fine. I find that they get their work done that way, there are less distractions that way, and they are really retaining the information if you're really concerned about them learning. They are indeed learning. They don't have to be consolidated at a table for 45 minutes to an hour at a time. That's just not, I can't even sit that long sometimes. My attention span, I'm on the move, I'm on the go. It's things I have to do. So we have to understand that when we're homeschooling our children, we're creating the environment that is suitable for them and is going to bring the best out of them. So we have to leave that public school setting behind. All of the desks and all the materials that they have in their classrooms are also not needed. A lot of times, parents who homeschool or want to homeschool feel like they have to use a large amount of money to create this extreme environment, and it's not at all the case. You don't have to do that. You can spend minimal amount of money. I'm a homeschooling mother of 5. My husband works. He's the breadwinner. And we spend close to, I don't even spend $300, $200 a year on our homeschooling supplies. A year. So if you have the money and you want to go out and buy those lavish book boxed curriculums, then that's your choice. You do that. But me, I'm on a budget. I don't like boxes. I don't like to work within a curriculum because the whole set curriculum, they have every subject laid out for you. They're going to do this, this, and this at this time, and there's no room for any extracurricular. There's no room to go outside of what they already have planned. And our days are spontaneous. We may just all of a sudden get up and go somewhere. We may take a field trip. And within this box curriculum, if you have to do this on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you miss a day, you're already behind. So I don't have time for that. We need the freedom and the flexibility to get up and go wherever we want, whenever we want, and not miss a beat. Um, Another thing I wanted to touch on was, in terms of your children, really get to know who they are, in, literally their learning style. How are they learning? Do you have a hands-on child? Do you have a tactile child? Do you have an audible child? Do you have a child who loves to communicate and loves to talk? Do you have a high energy child? And see, the high energy child is the quote unquote ADHD or ADD child. All these different labels that they love to put on our children's heads. which then in turn prescribes all these different kinds of unnecessary medications. Everyone is different. The public school system is a one size fit all situation, and you cannot sit all these different personalities and all these different perspectives in one bubble. People are going to be left behind. Children are going to be left behind because they're not going to follow and adhere to this one size fit all box. A lot of children are labeled learning disabled or deficient or disruptive because they are not following this one size fit all curriculum. And another thing is, with school, they have 180 days to cram all this information into your head, forcing you to memorize all this senseless information, not only in a year, but within a shorter amount of time, is super crammed for standardized tests. And that's a biased test that also leaves children behind, because the majority of the information that is given on these tests, these children forget it just like that because it's senseless. It doesn't mean anything to them. It does not relate to them. I remember taking these tests and thinking, what does this have to do with me? But at the end of the year, you get this grade and you get this score on your test, and that pretty much tells you whether you're proficient, whether you're above, below, or whether they're going to quote unquote call the child study team to have you evaluated and then segregated from your peers into a special class. That's how it works. And it's unnecessary. Within your homeschool, you set the standard. You set the environment. You create that environment that is conducive for your children and your family. You don't have to have the lavish desks and all those types of things. And we're going to get into cheaper ways to incorporate blackboards and things like that into your homeschool, because I personally love my board. I need my board in my life. But I didn't spend hundreds of dollars on it. I spent minimum amount of money. And we're going to talk about all these different things. But the one main thing I wanted you to understand is, sit back and relax. Really meditate on your child. What is their strengths? What are their weaknesses? How do they learn best? How do they interact with other children? How do they interact with you? Do you notice that your child, like me, I talk with my hands. I'm always moving my hands, gesturing when I'm talking. Do you find that your child is always analyzing something, always breaking things apart? Do you find that your child grasps concepts quickly, or do they need an extended amount of time? All these different ways that your children learn are not wrong. They all learn different ways and at different rates. And you don't have to follow the public school system that, with a lot of parents, has really pushed their children back into a corner, and a lot of children falling in between the cracks, pushing them out of school. This No Child Left Behind and this social promotion where your child has to be with their peers because of their age. School is not about socializing. It's not about being cool, and it's about an education. That's the whole purpose of school, is to be educated. And our children are not being educated the way they need to be educated. And they are being labeled because they are not following this standard, which is a piss poor standard if you ask me. But just know and understand that in your homeschool, you set the standard. Let your child work at his or her own pace. And trust me, you don't want them to rush through a concept. You want them to master it. You don't want a jack of all trades. You want a master. So if it takes this child 2 weeks to grasp a concept, and if it takes this child 2 months to grasp a concept, as long as they are mastering it, that's all that matters. Because you do not want your child going deeper into a unit of study and not have a full understanding. They're going to fall deeper into confusion. You don't want that. So with all that said, it probably sounds like I'm rambling because I'm trying to get a lot out. Really sit back and look at your children, evaluate your child. And in the next video, we're going to build on different things that you can do to incorporate in your home so that you do have that rich environment without having to have all that